The Utah Jazz are looking better and better tonight. Tonight they played against the New Zealand Breakers. We're live, okay? And it was really good. But before we get into that, let's just talk about Prize Picks. Prize Picks, guys, right now will match up to $100 when you go and sign up using promo code HoopsNerd. Go put down $5 on Lauri Markkanen on the over, and you're going to be happy. Use it all season long, just $5, and they will match. They will basically double your bets. Anyways, go to prizepicks.com, use promo code HoopsNerd. It supports the channel. I would appreciate it, and thank you to Prize Picks. All right, guys, the Utah Jazz looked fantastic tonight. Let's not turn me off. Let's do that. And we're going to be a little bit quick tonight because I just have to be quick tonight. Anyways, so the Jazz played against the New Zealand Breakers. Obviously not an NBA team, so they should destroy them, and that's what they did. That's what you want to see. If you struggle against the New Zealand Breakers, you've got some issues, and the Jazz put them away, and the second half they did not have to play their starters, and so they did what they needed to do. Here's some things that I really liked, and we won't be quite as in-depth. Lauri Markkanen, his finishing tonight wasn't all that impressive, and I think there's going to be times where he needs to kind of play within the offense a little bit, not just be a complete finisher, right? You know, the nickname applies, but sometimes it's okay to be not just a finisher, but also a passer. And so when he moves that ball around a little bit more, I think it'll help. And I think that's one element of Lauri Markkanen's game that needs to get better is when he kind of can play make and pass the ball. You know, if Lauri Markkanen can figure out some playmaking ability, then he becomes one of the, you know, he becomes like top 10, 15 player if he can do that. For right now, he plays within the offense. It's great, but he does need to be a little bit more of a playmaker. Tonight, I thought John Collins was fantastic, and it was the first time I felt like John Collins is looking like an absolute highway robbery steal for the Jazz. He looks better and better each game. And, this game is against the Breakers, not an NBA team, so the talent level is not as high, but they played hard. But what's nice to see is that Collins looked like he was doing more things within the offense. Maybe against some of the elite defenses, it's not going to be quite the same, but man, he did a few things all over the floor, whether it was in isolation, he drove to the basket, he was passing the ball. I mean, tonight he had 3 rebounds, 1 assist in only 16 minutes, and he was 4 for 5 from the field with the ball in his hands, doing things with the ball. It was really great. And yes, blind swordsman DS, the finger looks okay to me because he's knocking down those spot-up threes. And man, that play with Keyonte George, that alley-oop was just so pretty. And there's some things to start getting excited about. But I just wanted to give John Collins some credit because he has been playing in a different system, and now it looks like he's more and more comfortable, which gets me excited because I've loved John Collins for a long time, and I've always thought that if you could just give him a little more freedom within an offense, he could do a few more things. And we're seeing it. He looks happy to me too. He looks like he likes it, and that's exciting. He's really good. Perfect player to play with Taylor Hendricks as he develops. Taylor Hendricks looks like he needs time to develop, and that's fine. And John Collins looks amazing, and that's all you could expect. And you've got to be excited because the Jazz gave basically a hot dog and a bag of chips for John Collins, and it's been fantastic. Walker Kessler did something tonight that was pretty exciting, and I bet you all know what I'm talking about. Walker Kessler, sniper! 3-point sniper Walker Kessler! Took the corner 3 and knocked it down. Can he do that with regularity? Because if he can, that changes a lot of things for this team. You have John Collins who can knock down threes. If Walker Kessler can hit that corner 3 and they have to respect it, then all of a sudden, every single one of these other guys with the athleticism, they played that lineup. He only played 10 minutes tonight and was pretty dominant. But they had a lineup tonight where Walker Kessler was on the floor with 4 guards. It was like Keyonte and Sexton and Ochai and I can't remember. I think it might have been Kris Dunn. I can't remember. But they had 4 guards on the floor with Walker Kessler. And can you imagine the spacing and the ability to move the ball and drive to the basket if you have Kessler on the corner knocking down threes and that pulls out their big? I mean, come on. This Jazz offense has a chance to be pretty spectacular, and that is a cool development. And what's cool is just see him knock it down. The more confidence he has making that shot and taking that shot, the better. It just changes him as a player completely, guys, because what he is right now, if Walker Kessler didn't change at all, he's a 10, 15-year NBA starter. if what he is right now. If he can knock down a corner three, then he becomes a player that can be in any lineup in the playoffs because of what he can do defensively. And then if he can knock down threes in the playoffs, all of a sudden you've got a championship caliber player, right? Because that's what you've got to have in those playoffs. You've got to take away. You can't give any other team in the playoffs an advantage. And having Walker Kessler be a three-point shooter and force them to guard him makes you so much more potent in a playoff scenario. So this right here is one shot. But if he knocks that down with regularity, that becomes pretty exciting and changes everything for this Jazz team and the future of Walker Kessler too. It just changes so many things of what they can do. You can literally run every offense you want, whether it's pick and roll, whether it's crash the boards, 5 out, whatever. Walker Kessler changes everything with that three-point shot. Jordan Clarkson played nice tonight. Again, kind of feel like he might be locking himself into the starting lineup. He just looks nice and he does a lot of things. The defense is not elite, so that's something to kind of think about, but at least what he's doing is just really nice and helps this Jazz team win games. He just knocks down shots. He's just great. He's just a great basketball player. Talen Horton-Tucker did not have a good night, and this is the roller coaster. There will be nights where he has big-time games, and then there will be games like this. And what's weird is that this is against the New Zealand Breakers. You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't he be dominating in this matchup? Instead, he goes 0 for 3, just did not look in sync. And I get it. You're playing a team in the Breakers that are playing their hearts out. Some of these guys want to prove that they're still NBA guys and things like that, or they're NBA caliber, whatever. It's got to be better. Right? And I tell you what, when I see Keyonte George out there throwing dimes and just like playing like lights, I can't get over how good he is, guys. I can't get over it. Every single national guy is talking about it too. It's crazy. It is only a matter of time, and I wonder if this is the starting lineup eventually. Jordan Clarkson with Keyonte George starting, or the other guy that I just can't get over how awesome Kris Dunn is, guys. Kris Dunn is looking so fantastic. And if you had a Kris Dunn, Keyonte George starting lineup, that's pretty potent in my opinion. Kris Dunn tonight, I mean, we're going to be not too long. That's enough Talen Horton-Tucker. Kelly Olynyk did Kelly Olynyk things, and Colin Sexton did Colin Sexton things. He was fine, but he's not moving the ball like I would like. I don't think Colin Sexton should be anything more than a sixth man. And Ochai Agbaji also maybe pushing his way into a starting role at some point. I mean, that Ochai Agbaji Keyonte George backcourt is going to be a lot of fun when that is locked in. I mean, how fun is that going to be? But anyways, let's talk about Kris Dunn. It's only 7 minutes. And obviously comes in with Simone Fontecchio. I don't know why he doesn't get more minutes with like the starters and things like that. But he is just an absolute missile. I mean, he honestly, when he's on defense, it is throwing a firecracker in a bucket and it just like goes crazy and it just blows everything up that the other teams are going to do. He blows up their actions, dribble handoffs. He just loves to just munch on those like a shark. He just goes through the line like a defensive, like Aaron Donald in the NFL. He just breaks the line and gets through coverages. He blows things up. He gets, I mean, I can't get over it. The alley-oop that he broke up, he's doing things near the rim. He's stealing the ball. He's commanding that defense like freaking Fred Warner telling people where to go. There was one point where they were in that zone. By the way, we can talk about that zone for a second. Really interesting. But I can't get over how good Kris Dunn is. It's absolutely a steal again. This Jazz team is going to have a really fun trade deadline because they just keep getting studs on this team. I mean, say what you want about, Talen Horton-Tucker. He's an NBA player, and there's probably a trade out there to be had. Ochai Agbaji is a sixth man and a high-level sixth man. But he's potentially a trade candidate because the Jazz have so many guards. If you want Kris Dunn to play, you've got to make some sort of move. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to think that Kris Dunn should get some consideration to start. He's that good, and what he does on defense is not to be discounted. All right, so I mentioned the zone. Pretty interesting. The Jazz ran a lot of zone in this game, and that could have been a little bit because they don't have a lot of scouting for this Breakers team. They're probably not wasting a lot of time scouting the New Zealand Breakers for a preseason game. So maybe that's part of why you run a zone. I could see that. But it was kind of a 2-1-2 zone that was really interesting. They had one point where they had Lauri Markkanen up on the top, and so this zone was kind of interesting. I was paying attention to it a lot because we had Keyonte in the center of the floor, and it's kind of interesting when you have a 2-1-2. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because then it takes away that, when you're doing a zone and breaking a zone, what do a lot of teams like to do? You like to get that guy at the top of the free throw line to take that shot. The Jazz ran that 2-1-2. They had nowhere to go, and you could tell it just absolutely was cheat code. It was actually kind of crazy. And so they held the breakers to just like crazy low amounts. They end up going just kind of man-to-man later in the game. Pretty fun, pretty interesting to watch. I want to see if they do it again, because I don't know if it's because they played the breakers or if it's because that's something I want to do. Probably a little both. I'm sure they probably want to try some of these different zones and see how they look and feel. I liked it. If you don't like someone as a defensive player, then get some zone in there. I mean, the Heat do that really well. They literally go to the finals playing with a zone, and it really did help. That zone helped that Miami Heat about as much as anything. The only thing that helped the Heat more was injuries to Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jason Tatum, okay? Can we just talk about that at some point in this freaking playoffs? Anyways, another day. But anyways, the zone helped the Miami Heat get to the finals, and I think it's something the Jazz should definitely consider, considering the Jazz defense was so bad last year anyway. What have you got to lose? Play the zone. Why not? It throws teams out of whack, and they don't prepare for it every game. And if you have multiple zone options, like, everyone knows the 2-3 zone, which everyone knows how to play, and you can have some sort of variation with what you're doing in that scheme. But you do a thing like a 2-1-2, you throw some other things at them. I mean, it's kind of ingenious to think about. Why not try multiple zone coverages? Why not? And give your guys a little rest, too. I mean, craziness. And then guess what? With this Jazz team, with all the shooting and all the guards, they can't really run a zone on you because you can just shoot the ball. Blind Swordsman, you can't play it forever. There's times where you're probably going to want to go on isolation and things like that. Man-to-man is typically what you're trying to do. Because a lot of times, man-to-man, you're going to have your athletic players just dominate a guy. I mean, if you're an elite defensive team and you have elite perimeter defenders, then you probably want to go a little man-to-man, right? I mean, if you have Kris Dunn out there, you probably want to consider a little man-to-man to just hound guys and things like that. And then you can do things like double teams and other stuff. But zone's nice to do sometimes. Just get a team out of whack. If you've got a team that's like getting hot, throw a zone out there. See if it like throws them out of whack. I don't know. I just like seeing different things. We never saw it ever under Quinn Snyder. And now we're seeing all these different coverages, simple things, but they throw the other teams out of whack. And I love it. I freaking love it. Basketball does not need to be super complicated sometimes. It really doesn't. You just set your guys up to succeed in situations that they understand and are comfortable with, And also, it's the opposite of the coin with the other team. Put them in situations where they're not comfortable, hence the 2-1-2, okay? Do it. Make your team comfortable, make them uncomfortable. It's not too difficult. What else? We got to see Taylor Hendricks today. I think he's looking better. I think Jazz fans on Twitter, Twitter is a place for overreactions. It's what it is. But I think there may have been a little bit of an overreaction with Taylor Hendricks, and he's looking better and better. I want to see a little more aggression. I just want to see him have that Kris Dunn dog mentality, but he'll get that eventually. But we are seeing flashes and signs of really nice things. One thing I'm excited about with him is the perimeter defense. I mean, it's very clear when a guy gets him on the perimeter, it's scary stuff. It's scary town, scary hours when Taylor Hendricks is on you on the perimeter and he can move and he keeps in front of you. And then he's like 6'9", 6'10", whatever he is with that wingspan, and he'll block your shot. And then also he's knocking down threes. Tonight he only takes one, but he's shooting 40% from three for the whole preseason. Now he's 33 because he was 2 for 5 coming into this game. Now he's 2 for 6. But anyways, he's knocking down those threes. He's blocking shot. I don't know if we've seen enough shot blocking. I actually think Taylor Hendricks, what's interesting is I think he's got some development to do on the defensive end. With how much we were told how good he is defensively, I actually think he could become way better if he can kind of figure out what he's doing. But it's going to be development, and that's okay. But I will say this, and this is for all those people freaking out. Stop freaking out, okay? Let me freak out. I'll do the freak outs on here. But you don't freak out. What is this show? Taylor Hendricks is going to be fine, and we noticed tonight with their lineups that he's actually part of the rotation. He's kind of the 9th or 10th guy, but he is actually part of this rotation because you've got, like tonight we saw the 3rd string, the actual 3rd or 4th string. You had Romeo Langford out there. We finally got to see Bryce Sensabaugh. You have Micah Potter out there. So you have Luka Samanic, Luka at home, and Johnny Juzang. That's the low end of the thing. Hendricks is playing before those guys. So for people freaking out, well, guess what? He's on the bench. He's a reserve player, and I don't know if it's going to be as much in the G League as people are saying, to be honest. That's just one thing I noticed is just rotations. He was actually playing within like the end of the bench rotation. Not great. If he's number 9, you want him to play more. And I know everyone's probably, it's not great. There's no way around it. You would like your number 9 player to be forcing the coach into making decisions, kind of like Keyonte George is. Right now, you can tell Keyonte George is absolutely the truth because you just can't keep him off the floor. Will Hardy, as much as he said last season, he hates giving guys time if they haven't earned it. Keyonte George is on the floor. He's earned it with how good he is and what he's doing. And like we said, the word in camp is out of this world. By the way, let's finish with let's just say we saw Bryce Sensabaugh tonight. I thought it was a mixed bag. We could see some of the potential, and you could see why you're excited about him because he does have an ability to kind of score the ball. I also think he was playing against the Breakers, and I would like to see a better percentage here than 3 for 8 and 0 for 2 against the New Zealand Breakers. And some of that is because he's forcing the ball when he's in, and guys like this want to prove who they are, so that's a tough spot. I think it's going to be difficult for Bryce Sensabaugh to go from Ohio State, where he was given an absolute unfettered green light. Do what you want. But then he comes onto this Jazz team, and guess what? You need to be a little bit, it doesn't mean you have to be a role player, do one single thing, but you do have to fit into a role within a spread team that shares the ball and finds the better shot, right? So Bryce Sensabaugh, where he's like getting buckets in college, it needs to be more of like spot up threes and moving the ball within the offense and things like that. And it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. I think he's going to spend a lot of time in the G League, and they're going to try to get him to learn how to do that. And I think there's some elements of his game that are interesting. And if he can become a better playmaker, then I think there's a lot of interest there and a lot of things to be intrigued with. But what I saw tonight was a little bit of him forcing it and honestly not really dominating is like you'd like to see. 3 for 8, 6 points. He was fine, but you can tell there's going to be some growing pains there. Finally, let's just finalize. We talked about it a little bit already. Keyonte George plays 16 minutes. These 2 assists, every single time we watch him play, he is throwing just beautiful dimes. Like that, do they have the replays yet for this stupid website? No, they don't. Doggone it. But anyways, he is throwing passes that are just beautiful. I just cannot wait. It's just not only a matter of time until he's starting, and then that starting job is just his, because he is just fantastic. He honestly, I can't get over it. That lob to John Collins was just beautiful. It looked so clean and nice. And it's like the best lob John Collins has gotten all preseason. And it's coming from Keyonte George, who everyone didn't realize could be this good of a passer. His passer, he's number 4 right now in rookies in assists per game, guys. Number 4 in all. He's over Amen Thompson. He's over Cam Whitmore, guys. Okay? Everyone shares the dunk from Cam Whitmore, but they don't share the fact that he scored 15 points on 15 shots. 15 shots to get 15 points. You don't see that on Twitter. But anyways, you have Keyonte George, 3 for 7. He scores 8 points. He just absolutely will not have an inefficient night. 7 shots for 8 points, if we're keeping count. And tonight wasn't necessarily very good. He had 1 3-pointer called back, by the way. But anyways, he just plays within the offense. The passing is just phenomenal. And this would be even better if he's not sharing the floor with Colin Sexton, who is absolutely just going to take the shot. And if he doesn't take the shot, then it's going to be a bailout kickout. There's a difference between kickouts that are good kickouts and there's bailout kickouts. And I don't know how to describe that, but if you can understand, let me know in the comments. But there's good kickouts and there's bailouts, if that makes sense. Donovan Mitchell was a bailout kickout guy. All right? He just was. We're just going to be honest about things. Not a great kickout guy. What I see from Keyonte George, everything is, I can't get over how good he is, guys. I can't get over it. He is so good. His game is so complete, and he's a rookie, and he's 19. I can't believe how complete his basketball game is on the offensive end of the floor. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and it's only going to get better. This is like, I'm telling you guys, this is such star potential type stuff. I can't get over it. It's crazy. Ochai Agbaji looked fantastic too, by the way, guys. Look at this line. 4 for 8, 2 for 5 from 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's rebounding the ball more too. So nice to see. That athleticism is showing up more and more. He's learning how to use it. It's it's just great. I just really love this team, and I am so excited for Keyonte George to earn this spot. It's only a matter of time. It might even be this preseason. Let's just pray to the Jazz basketball gods, and let's hope that happens. All right, let's see. All right, guys, that's all I got tonight. We got to give a shout out to our All-Stars. I said I was going to do a short show, and we do 20 minutes. That's how this goes. But let's do it, baby. All right, let's pull this up. Let's do this. But yes, you know what? I love this show. I cannot not do this show. All right? It's just the way it goes. It's how it has to be. Never going to change. Never going to stop. All right, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. Let's give a shout out to Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from down under. Ryan Perry, the legend. Jake C. Can, baby. Christian House Money to Haas. See ya, Lexalator. Built Ford Tough. Alexander Tufts. Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo. Jordan the Go Best Rule. TGD Total Game Domination. Tyson Price, the price is right. X marks the spot for Zintas. Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire. DW to CB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer. Patrick Kagubo, the connoisseur. And Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, if you haven't already, leave me a comment. Who should start? What should the starting lineup be? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you haven't already, go to PricePicks, sign up with promo code HoopsNerd. Go put $5 down on an over and have some fun. They've got promos all the time. And also, if you're new here, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell so you know when we go live, guys. Do it. All right, guys, I will talk to you next time.